Jack!
What?
Jack Polfax, how are you, my dear?
Hi, Benny, you son of a bitch. Your British movie doing any business?
Let me tell you, it's unbelievable. Don't you wish you had a piece of the action?
My God, you want to know who's here? Lenny's here. Lenny, you old bastard. You know Lenny, don't you?
Yeah. Look, I want you to meet Henry Simcox. Wrote my last picture. Jack Polfax, who is Galaxy International.
You a writer?
Don't let him kid you. Don't kid him, Jack. Everyone knows Henry Simcox. Well, at least they will after our next one, huh? Look, Henry's just come up with the most terrific idea.
Can you believe who's here? Julie! Julie Solario. Listen, come up to the house for brunch on Sunday. Laurel Canyon. Get Benny to bring you. Oh, nice to meet you.
Yeah, great to talk to you, Jack. I'll bring him up to the house on Sunday. That was good. Lucky meeting. Go ahead. What do you think, Agnes, huh? Did you bring your bathing suit? Herbert! I got you at last. Huh? Will you return my call sometime? Donna needs me a bit of the telephone. Didn't you hear about it? Art! Good to see you.
Hi, Benny.
You're looking great. What's the matter? You can't afford to eat here anymore? Good table, Charles. Thank you very much. Charles, we could really use a drink.
I'd like some wine.
Bring us a couple of vodka martinis, will you? And a nice bottle of wine. You have some nice wine? Half a bottle. Oh, and bring us the lunch menu, too. The one with the prices.
Yes, sir.
You know, Jack Polfax and I have always been very close. You know, whenever I'm on the Galaxy lot, you know, in the commissary there, Jack will invariably come up to me and take me by the arm.
And what is that a sign of?
Oh, it is a sign, Agnes, that if we play our cards correctly, Galaxy International may distribute Henry's next movie.
I didn't know Henry had a next movie.
Of course. Why do you think I brought you two out here again? Your husband and I, Agnes, are about to cook the perfect hamburger.
You're going in for catering?
I speak in metaphor. The American hamburger that all the world loves to eat. That poll was fine. Good business in Britain, good critical reception here. But what did it do in Tokyo? I will tell you something, my dears. Poll did precisely zilch in Tokyo. And in South America, we couldn't give it away. Now, what we need is the perfect hamburger. We cook it right here in town, and they pay to eat it in Japan and Rio de Janeiro and Iowa and Hong Kong and all those territories. And I will now tell you, I have the title for the perfect hamburger. And I have had the foresight to bring it with me.
That's the perfect hamburger?
I want you to update it. I want you to find the love angle. And I want these pilgrims to come from all over. Paris, New York, Rome, Tokyo. Don't forget Tokyo. And you see, each territory will have its own story. That way we get the international appeal.
And they will end up in Canterbury?
That is not necessary. Henry should feel free. How are you? Yeah. You know, Agnes, there's some people in this town who have no idea where the hell Canterbury is.
What you mean is they're all engaged in some sort of quest.
That is it, a quest. See, Agnes loves the idea.
The Canterbury Tales.
Yeah, by Jeff Chaucer.
That's him. See, she knows.
They've always been good stories.
You mean, Henry, you think it's a great idea?
I mean, they've always been good stories.
And they're in public domain. Canterbury Tales is our hamburger.
What's Henry have to do? Supply the ketchup? Will you excuse me a moment?
Oh, of course. You want to go powder your nose? Be my guest, my dear. Thank you. Is the sauerbraten on today? I love sauerbraten. Can't spell it, but I love to eat it. You can have anything you want, Henry, within reason, and I'll give you the reason.
Thank you, sir. Have a nice day. Really?
I can't imagine where Agnes is.
She's missing her wine. She probably likes it cold. All right, let's do lunch sometime, huh?
Call from Mr. Irving Lazar. Mr. Irving Lazar at the telephone, please.
How did you get back?
I walked.
Now, don't be silly. No one walks here.
Somebody does.
You're a great help. You left me looking ridiculous.
You were looking ridiculous before I left.
You can be so pure and superior, despising Benny Bugloss from a great height. You don't have to pay the bills.
By creeping and crawling to old Benny, my dear, turning Chaucer into a hamburger and having your arm squeezed by Jack, baby. Listen, I'll tell you something. I'd rather die than go to brunch in Laurel Canyon with a lot of old men in necklaces and women in flowering bathing hats.
Can you keep your voice down?
No! I'm afraid I can't keep my voice down.
Why do you have to be so difficult?
I don't know. I don't know why I have to be so difficult. What did you think when you took me on, that I was going to be easy?
Telephone call for Mr. Ed Pringle. Mr. Ed Pringle, please.
You've got a short memory.
How short?
When Benny gave you what you wanted, got you out of trouble. My little brother's trouble.
You think that's what I wanted?
You were desperate.
Do you think I'm not desperate now?
Agnes, you are so self-indulgent.
Me?
Enjoying the luxury of feeling desperate in a Hollywood hotel.
Marriage is different.
Different? To what?
Different to anything else.
Well, not much different to death. Creeps up on people. Are you going to tell Fred?
Yes.
When?
When is not the problem, but how.
What's the matter?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Dr. Salter's had a telegram.
Who from?
Agnes. She and Henry have got married. Somewhere in America. Freddie. My poor boy.
Don't. Please don't. I've never seen you cry.
Morning, Mrs. Amulet. How are we this morning?
Doctor.
Any better?
No, Doctor. No better.
The worst is over, Katie. It's easier from now on.
Thank you.
tomb to Terry?
Terry was an evilly disposed ape.
Ape?
Well, marmoset, actually. Never house-trained, naturally, and with an appalling liver condition. I spent more time and trouble trying to keep Terry alive than I ever wasted on Katie Amulet, for which, of course, she is profoundly grateful. Time for lunch.
I'm an idiot. I forgot my key.
I should congratulate you.
I'm sorry. I so wanted you there.
I was there in spirit.
San Bernardino, the Lady Baptist minister telling us to bring the Lord right into our bedroom with us. I don't think you were there at all.
Where's Henry?
He's in London. He's writing very hard. I just came to collect the rest of my things.
Well, you stay for lunch, won't you?
If you ask me.
You're asked.
Is it Mrs. Beasley's Mince?
I'm afraid so.
I used to think of that so often in California. We used to get jumbo-sized prawns, jumbo-sized tomatoes, and they all tasted of cotton wool. And I used to think of Mrs. Beasley's grey mince, tasted of good, honest dishwater.
You sound very cheerful.
Well, perhaps because I'm home.
Very talkative, too.
But I haven't talked for so long. You can't talk to American film producers. They just talk to themselves and expect you to listen. I'm afraid I behaved terribly badly.
Badly?
Climbing out of lavatory windows. Running away from Mr. Bugloss. Even Henry's running away from him now.
Good old Henry. We keep on saving his soul for him, don't we?
He's writing a new novel. It's extremely good. Don't say you're sorry to hear that.
I didn't.
You did nearly. I just saved you. You'd have hated yourself if you had, wouldn't you?
Where are you living now?
In the flat in Islington. Still the same old flat. Suppose we'll have to get somewhere bigger now.
Yes, I suppose you will.
You'll come and see us, won't you? Now we're back for good?
No. No, I don't think so.
Well, it's been nearly 3 years.
Yes.
Well, I suppose I'll see you here occasionally.
That'll be nice.
Why have you moved in here?
I haven't.
Not yet, but why'd you spend so much time with him?
I suppose because your father's teaching me.
It's not because of me, is it? Say it's not because of me, Fred.
No. Not because of you.
I mean, that would be like living in the past, wouldn't it? Condemning yourself to stay still all the time. You wouldn't do that, would you?
No, I don't suppose I would. Shall I take that down to the car for you?
This makes you feel so helpless.
Is Henry pleased?
Well, wouldn't you be? I mean, if you were Henry?
If I were Henry, I don't know what I'd feel.
In the old days, when they never got about much, well, before the invention of the bicycle, Skirfield stayed in Skirfield, and Rapston never left its frontiers. And the villagers simply bred amongst themselves. Cousins with cousins. Closer than that sometimes. Well, rabbits never stopped to ask, "Excuse me, are you my sister by any chance?" Yet they're perfectly lively little creatures. I can't see how all that inbreeding did much harm. They cut down their own trees, built their little sheds in the beech woods, managed to turn some very decent chair legs, and they lived far beyond any reasonable type of living. You look at the dates on the tombstones in your father's old churchyard. Oh, the bicycle changed all that, of course. They got over to the next village and rogered girls they weren't even related to. Now, In the old days, there were Nouts and Scurfield, and Bigwells and Rapston, and that was about the size of it.
I was thinking about Tom Nout.
Oh, yeah.
Just wondering why my father was so against him. I remember when I was a child, the fuss he made when I went to Tom's hut.
His hut?
His hut in the woods. You must know it.
I think so.
But I was there. When I came back from London and Agnes had gone off with Henry to that coast of theirs. That's where you found me, by Tom's hut.
A hut in the woods. Didn't notice it. Oh. Go on.
Hang on.
Come on, mind your head. Oh. We're really going to rattle about in here, aren't we, Kevin?
Certainly are. Come on, children. I want you on best behaviour.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. What, darling? What did you see?
Come on, Holly.
Oh, we're really going to rattle about in here.
Have a room for all your tribe.
Oh,
Hello,
yes,
Mrs. There.
Mrs. Simcox. Oh, Kevin would never have taken on a place of this size, but he's in charge of all 4 parishes now, so the Dean thought it would be more suitable. The big room will be wonderful for my meetings.
The Women's Institute. I always try to keep them at bay.
Well, not jam making and that sort of stuff. My women's movements meetings.
Oh?
Yes, women against rape.
Are there women in favour of it?
Ah, the Holy of Holies. The old rector's study. I suppose I shall always feel like an intruder in here.
Yes, I suppose you always will.
Quieter here now, of course. Since Simeon's day. We don't get journalists queuing up for interviews. I'm not asked what I think of anything from punk hairdos to the resurrection. I'm just a parish priest. Not exactly in the public eye.
Since my new home is so small, the Shells will be staying here. Oh, and this bust of Karl Marx, if you would care for it.
Where are you going to, Mrs. Simcox, exactly?
Exactly, to Hartscombe, a terraced house in Sunday Street.
We were so worried when we read that the rector had left everything to Mr. Timms.
Oh, don't worry, Mr. Bulstrode. I had a little something of my own. Would you care to know how much, exactly?
No, of course not.
Well, to leave everything to a Conservative cabinet minister seems so strange somehow.
Well, I suppose Simeon felt he ought to be fair, even to a cabinet minister.
Oh, thank you, dear.
It's just rather small.
Oh, that may have its advantages. I shan't be able to have Lonnie and Henry down to stay, for instance. Or any old parishioners. No, they won't be able to drop in for tea at all.
It's a bit of luck you had a house left you.
I'm going to have a real cottage garden with roses and cabbages all in the same bed, and sweet peas and runner beans all mixed up together. I was never able to do that at the rectory. Your father had an unusually tidy mind for a socialist.
What about this?
Ah. Poor little dead monkey's grave. I think we should let it hide itself in decent obscurity.
It's that brother of yours. Keeps on producing wills like rabbits out of a hat. He's determined to bring the case to court. I doubt if he'll ever explain the will of Simeon Simcox. Your father moved in a mysterious way his wonders to perform.
Just open your trousers for me, will you?
Luckily, your mother had a few investments and that house in Sunday Street.
Waterworks all right?
Seemed to be functioning adequately.
Oh, the house in Sunday Street. Didn't it belong to old Katie Amulet? Pull up your trousers and hop on the scales for me.
I rarely hop anywhere nowadays. Far-sighted act, leaving that house to your mother. You might almost have guessed she was going to be left stranded.
I always thought Great Aunt Pauline left Mother's Sunday Street.
Oh, no. Your predecessor, Dr. Salter, left it to her. He was given the freehold by a grateful patient. He and your mother were very old friends, of course.
Of course. You should lose a couple of stone.
Oh, yes. Got it from Dr. Salter.
You were asleep.
No, I wasn't.
I distinctly saw you sleeping.
No. I was composing my appeal for the welfare services of the East End. I keep telling them the younger generation's no longer content with ping pong.
Sorry, I'll miss it.
Oh, will you?
I've got to get back to St. Thomas's tomorrow.
Really? Taking you a long time. When do you expect to get qualified?
About 3 years, with any luck.
I can't see that you can take all that time to learn Salter's trade. All he does is to tell me not to cling to life and leave me a couple of aspirins. And he tipples my brandy.
You'd be surprised. There's quite a bit to learn.
It can't be nearly as tricky as theology. It seems to me that God makes no attempt to be fair. He deals out, well, fatal diseases to children who've done no harm to anyone. Broken legs to poor Percy Bigwell, and a quite disproportionate degree of power and influence to Doughty Strove. What's God up to, I wonder? Why does he leave it to us to even things out? We have to be fair. We have to.
Mother seemed very upset when she heard of Henry's wedding.
What's that, what you said?
I never saw Mother crying before.
Well then, Henry was always her favorite. A bit like God, your mother, she seems to have favorites. You won't mind my saying that, will you?
Oh, I suppose not.
He was the first, you see. She set a lot of store by him. And you came along later. A little unexpectedly.
You mean I was an accident?
There is absolutely nothing wrong with accidents. I shall tell them that on Sunday.
Wish you'd tell me something.
What?
Before I go back to London. I can't remember you giving me advice, except when you told me not to go near Tom Nout's hut.
His hut? Can't remember.
Oh, yeah. Whatever was wrong with that place exactly?
Some people, I'm sure you'll find this out, bring bad luck. That's a point for my sermon. God puts such a lot of luck into the universe. Sometimes it seems as if he thought he was creating a sort of cosmic casino. I'm not suggesting there's anything particularly evil about Tom Nout. It's just that people like that provoke accidents.
Mr. John Profumo, the Secretary of State for War, has resigned. Questioned about Miss Christine Keeler in March of this year, he said theirs was no more than an innocent social relationship. Miss Keeler was known to be a close friend of Captain Ivanov, the naval attaché from the Soviet embassy in London. Now the minister has written in his letter to the Prime Minister, published today, to my very deep regret, I have to admit that this was not true, and I misled you.
Where's your wife?
Charlotte's in worse, Mother.
Resignation will mean a violence.
The welfare course.
We don't mind your wife taking up welfare, even if she's never going to take up ironing.
You must have known old Doughty Strove for a long time.
Since I was 18 and in service. Quite a lad he was. In his younger years.
What does that mean? One for the girls?
Well, he'd come down to the kitchen for a slice of pie, something to take out shooting. And he'd try and put an arm round you, all that sort of nonsense. You wouldn't believe it, would you? But looking at him now,
there anyone in particular?
Well, they did say Bridget Bigwell. It was all just talk.
Go on.
Bridget used to work at Picton House. And then she left to go to the Fanners and married Percy and Aunt Glenys. Well, all on top of each other. I don't suppose there was anything in it.
Glenys Bigwell. She does typing for the rector.
Bridget was a bright girl. She always seemed bright above her station, as you might say.
The rector says she can't spell. Perhaps she inherited that from Doughty Strove.
No. They was just talk, most likely. They were all the same, though. Young men in those days. Not enough to do and too much money to do it with.
All the young men.
All the same. All tarred with the same brush. Of course, I mean the gentry.
What about the rector?
Mr. Simcox. Mr. Simcox was different. He was always different from all the rest.
You read about the dinner party served up by the man in the iron mask.
Stark bollock naked, his head in a saucepan with a couple of eye holes cut in it, handing round the potatoes. I tell you, it gets better every time you read the paper.
Excuse me a minute, Ted, will you?
The old hut? Picked up a bit of something new, have you, boy?
No, Tom, nothing new. What I wanted to ask... Thank you.
Ask no questions, boy, and I'll tell you no lies.
You know Dr. Salter, don't you, Tom?
Him? Everyone knows him.
Yes?
Keep out of the man's way, though. They reckon he'll see you off quicker than a shotgun in the chest, Dr. Salter will.
Well, I don't think that's altogether fair.
Anyway, this stuff's better than doctors.
Did Dr. Salter ever go to your old hut?
Ask no questions, boy, like I told you.
Hello, Percy. What have they all got against you, Tom?
Against me?
Like my father. Do you remember, years ago, how angry he got when I went to your old hut? And Dr. Salter says he's never even heard of the place. What have they got against you, Tom?
Don't forget her bloody ladyship.
Grace?
Wanted me in the nick. Of course, she had her reasons.
What reasons?
You want to know?
Yes.
Then we'd better show you, hadn't we? Bring us both another one, Ivy.
Right way, Tom.
It's time you got blooded.
Like to get you on slow boat to China, all to myself alone. Get you and keep you in my arms evermore. Leave all your loved ones.
Stop it here, boy. Right. Let's have them. Stop. Slow now. Stop. Now.
to sign her with the sign of the cross, that hereafter she shall not be ashamed to confess the faith of Christ crucified, and manfully to fight under his banner against sin, the world, and the devil, and to continue Christ's faithful soldier and servant until her life's end. Amen.
I feel sorry for him. It was lying, of course. That's why he had to go. I don't suppose anybody cares who the fellow drops into bed with.
I don't agree.
Titmus?
I'm not sure I entirely agree. It's not just the lying, is it? I mean, a member's private life does have to be above suspicion. If we choose a man to represent us, we have to make absolutely sure that he hasn't got any sort of skeletons in his cupboard.
Well, there's been a lot of stupid rumors, of course. Bloody tittle-tattle. But I've made it perfectly clear if anyone suggests there's any connection between me and that fellow in the iron mask. Apparently they've got a photograph of him dishing out vegetables to a party of decadents. Well, I'm perfectly prepared to be medically examined by a qualified doctor.
Please doubt it, my dear chap. I'm sure that won't be necessary.
It would be wrong of me to suggest that there is anything in Mr. Strove's past life that he could possibly be ashamed of. But in my opinion, our party has attracted far too many rumors lately. And they're quite likely to lose us the next election.
Lose the next election? I can't imagine why you say that.
We have always stood as the party of public morality, Chairman. It seems to me, if we lose that reputation, we may as well all go off and join the socialists.
Yes, well, I'm sure we're all very grateful to our member for the clear and helpful report from Westminster, and for the quiet and very dependable way he's represented this constituency. I'm sure no one in this room would dream of suggesting he's a man connected with this sort of scandal, with or without an iron mask. So I propose a vote of thanks to Doughty Strove. Long may he represent Hartscombe and Worsfield South.
I should like to second that, Chairman.
Good night, Nicholas.
Night, Captain Platt. I must say that was a bit much.
Chairman, I think that was a successful meeting.
Practically suggesting that poor old Doughty had been involved in some kind of orgy or something.
I didn't say a word about orgies. I just happen to believe that anyone we do the honor of selecting as our MP would have a private life which is beyond criticism.
People who live in glass houses, Titmus, should keep quiet at meetings. What about your own marriage? Didn't you rather jump the gun?
Sir Nicholas, you're not suggesting that Charlotte was expecting when I married her, are you?
Well, if she wasn't, I don't know what all the fuss was about.
I really think you ought to know, Sir Nicholas. The first night I slept with your daughter was on the honeymoon in Torquay you so generously paid for. And that's the absolute truth. Best wishes to mother-in-law.
Good Lord. It's the most flagrant immorality.
Thank you.
God, it's like getting an audience with the Pope. You're all so busy.
Well, that's true.
Look, we can't go on quarreling forever. What about lunch?
All right. I'll buy you lunch.
Where?
Here.
Well, so long as I don't get jabbed with anyone's scalpel.
Just a coffee. Thank you. You might like to try the bread and butter pudding.
Why?
Well, isn't that your favourite at the Sheridan Club?
Oh, is it particularly good here?
No, it's particularly horrible here.
Now, who do you remind me of?
Take a tray and make your choice.
Oh, not much of a choice. I'll try the roast beef.
And for me.
I'm coming down for the election.
What, to vote?
No, to work. We've both got to work, Frederick. England's dying on its feet. It hasn't even got the horrible vitality of Benny K. Bugloss or Jack Polfax of Galaxy International.
Roast or cream potatoes?
Roast, thank you.
And for me.
And what have you got, Frederick? A 14th Earl for Prime Minister doing his sums with matchsticks.
Carrots or Brussels sprouts?
Brussels, thank you.
Carrots.
Members of Parliament chasing after call girls, waiting at table in iron masks.
You've become particularly puritanical since you got back from Hollywood.
Well, the only thing you've been able to organise decently is a train robbery.
Well, I didn't organise it personally. Do you want some pudding?
Yes, I'll try the bread and butter pudding, thank you. But you are going to try and help us get rid of this lot, aren't you?
Picking up our father's banner, are you?
Well, I don't agree with all of father's principles, as you know,
But you'd like to build Jerusalem in England's green and pleasant land.
Well, why not?
No, the trouble with our father's paradise is it keeps getting put off, doesn't it? Do you want coffee?
Black, thank you.
And for me, please. The promised land is always just around the corner. All we seem to get is paradise postponed.
Well, at least we can try and help the ordinary people.
Oh, you mean the workers?
Well, if you want to use that old-fashioned expression, yes.
I went out with the workers the other night. You know, the ones I play all that jazz with. Terry Fawcett and Den Kitson and Tom Nout. Remember Tom Nout, don't you?
Vaguely.
Well, Tom Nout. Had a few drinks first, of course, and then we went on a spree.
What sort of spree?
I'll tell you. We drove down by the Mandragora Valley, bumped across a field, through a wood, and dazzled a deer in the old Land Rover's headlamps. Then they shot it and cut its throat. Now, nobody said anything about it when I saw Terry and Den the week after, and we did a trad night at the Badger in Scurfield. Nobody mentioned it at all. Tom Nout smeared blood on me.
Does that mean you're against them?
Oh, no, I'm on their side.
Good. This pudding's wonderful.
Mother-in-law.
Get into the motor. And closing the window, we have to talk.
You must be very disappointed.
You had the cheek to admit to my husband that you didn't tuck up with Charlie until your wedding night. Or has Nicholas got it absolutely wrong? He's perfectly capable of it.
No, Mother-in-law, Sir Nicholas got it absolutely right.
You lied to us.
Yes. Perhaps you'd like to know why I lied.
Presumably because you knew we wouldn't allow Charlie to marry you unless she was in pod. Is that about the size of it?
You wouldn't let her marry the son of an ex-cook from Picton House. That's why it was the only thing I could do if I wanted to make something of myself. If I wanted to get away from being a clerk in the brewery and coming to your house once a year at conservative fetes and saying, "Thank you, your ladyship, so awfully kind of your ladyship to invite the tenants. I'm not settling for that. I'm going to make a way for myself and a way for Charlie. I'm going to be someone you'll both be proud of. I'm going to represent this constituency one day when Doughty Strove gives up, which may not be long in coming. And then, well, who knows? Then it's all wide open to me, but I had to start somewhere, didn't I?
So you started with us?
Yes.
And with Charlie?
Yes, with her too.
Well, at least you're honest.
Thank you.
And Charlie may have been luckier than she knows.
Thank you for saying that too.
I imagine she'll go further with you than she would studying social welfare in Worsfield. What you're telling me is that you'd have said anything to get into our family.
Said or done anything. Of course, there's no reason to hide any of the facts from you now.
Come to dinner. If you're going to get somewhere, you'll need to meet a few people, won't you?
drag me into it?
Because we go together, Charlotte. At dinner parties, on my platform.
Your platform? You think you're becoming a station master? You won't leave me with her, will you? If there's that awful split up after dinner, you'll stay with me, won't you? You won't drink port and discuss business with Daddy. Promise me you won't leave me with her.
All right. I promise. Thank you, Wybrow.
Well, Charlie, I think it's time to gather up the ladies.
Yes. That's fascinating,
Leslie, you promised.
It would be interesting to get your father's feelings about an autumn election.
Would it?
Leslie?
Bound to be an advantage.
Come along, Charlie. Let's leave the boys to their politics.
Yes, I'm afraid old Dowdy had something on in London.
I expect you think he had nothing on in London. Nothing but an iron mask, that is. I mean, what you said at the Executive Council.
I never said anything of the sort. I'm just sorry he can't spend more time on constituency matters.
Are you?
You know, I think Charlie's really found something in her Mr. Titmus. He knows where he's going, and full marks to him. I honestly believe he's going to get there. And he's paid us the compliment of wanting to join us.
Excuse me, Mummy.
Black, everyone?
I'm not sure we don't need a time to rethink. I don't think we can afford to go on being amateurs.
You mean being gentlemen? You want us to be players?
No, I'd like us to be serious. If we lost in the autumn, it might give us a chance to sharpen up our image.
Sharpen up what, Titmus?
Our image, sir.
Is it a phrase that has some meaning for you, Archie?
I think so. Losing might even do us a bit of good, do you think?
Perhaps. Of course, we're all going to work 24 hours a day to get your father back, Magnus.
Oh, yeah.
I should really hope so. I can't stand Mr. Ben Leverett.
Oh, no, neither can I.
Calls himself a socialist. I saw him carting a dozen bottles of claret out of Simcox off-license.
Wasted on him.
I don't see how we can lose. Not that Douglas Hume would mind if we did. He's far too decent a chap to mind a thing like that.
Wilson would mind, though. Perhaps that's the difference.
Titmus is joining me and Christopher in Hartscombe Enterprises. I'm just looking after the accounts, of course.
Of course. If the socialists get in, you want to watch out. There may not be any accounts to look after.
There will be.
Leslie will make sure of that. Very elegant tonight, Leslie.
Oh, this. Yes, I bought it this time.
Oh, really? Who paid?
You did. Yeah. I've had a few investments. We must talk about that.
The port is with you, Titmus.
I don't like this boating all the time. Didn't we just do it?
Yeah, about a year ago. Made a mistake then. Got the Tories in. Excuse me, Percy.
Very keen fisherman, you know. Nice. Huh?
Is it true you voted Conservative this time?
What? Change my religion?
Morning, comrades.
Ah!
Starting another revolution, are we?
Revolution, of course. Guillotine the aristocrats.
Morning, Mrs.
And their
Simcox.
doctors.
White brown hair, I didn't think that was very funny.
Mrs. Lamb, is it? Aren't you coming out to vote?
No.
Give them a hand, will you, Peter? He'll help you.
Hanscom's solid Tories sold a lot of the villages. But we've got all the housing estates all over it, round South Worsfield. Now, if we can get all our voters out, we may just have a hope.
We'll do our best, Ben.
Leave it till this evening. Give them a chance to get home from the biscuit factories and have their tea.
Right.
Very well. You can go in now, Brooks.
Thank you, my lady.
There's a lot of your voters in Attlee Crescent. They haven't been picked up yet.
You're telling me that?
Well, I thought it'd be fair.
Thanks very much.
Leverett, Benjamin Arnold, 15,006.
Late as usual.
What was it?
15,006.
Strove, Doughty, Picton, Percival, 14,967. And I declare the said Benjamin Arnold Leverett is duly elected to serve as the member for Hartscombe and Worsfield South constituency.
Majority of 39. I just wonder how many voters I picked up in Attlee Crescent this evening.
Let's have a bit of quiet, please.
Last time, when we lost this seat, I said that we'd be back. Well, here we are, and I think we'll be here for a long time. We're going to finish the job we started after the war. We're going to build a new...
Oh, not Jerusalem.
A new Jerusalem. We're going to get Britain going again as a home for all the people. Not just for a few, but for everyone who can benefit from our new technology and our scientific approach. It's been a long, dark night, my friends. But let me tell you this, morning has definitely broken.